There is a sound that no doctor in the world can explain. It is not a cough. It is not a scream. It is the sound a grown man makes when his soul is being squeezed out of his body by something ancient. In Nigeria, we have many names for it. The Yorubas call it Magun, the thunderbolts. It is the ultimate trap, a spiritual padlock used by jealous husbands to catch cheating wives. Most of you watching this now, you do not believe in it. You have iPhones, you drive modern cars, you live in estate with security gates. You think those are just village stories. Juju is not real. That is exactly what Toby thought. Toby was a Lagos big boy. He had a master's degree. He worked in a bank. He thought he was too smart for old traditions. But on a rainy Friday evening in Lagos, inside a locked hotel room, Toby found out that some stories have very sharp teeth. He found out that you cannot use an iPhone to fight a curse that was made several years ago. Watch this video to the end and let me tell you how he died. To understand why Toby died, you must understand how he lived. Toby was a man who believed the world belonged to him. He was handsome, the kind of handsome that made women turn their heads when he walked into a building. He had the most dashing smile that melted a lot of hearts. He was not a bad man, but he was a greedy man. He had a good job. He had his own house, but he always wanted what belonged to others. He liked the challenge. If a woman was single, he was not interested. But if a woman was married, that was a game to him. It felt powerful taking something that another man owned, another man's wife. Then he met Bisi. Bisi was not like the other married women Toby played with. She was quiet. She was beautiful in a deep and unique way. But Bisi was like a bird in a golden cage. She was married to a man named Babatunde. Babatunde was a rich man, but he was old school. He was serious. He did not know how to laugh. He did not know how to take his wife to the cinema or buy her flowers. He only knew how to provide food and shelter. Bisi felt invincible in her own home. She felt like a piece of furniture, a nice chair that Babatunde sat on when he was tired and ignored when he was busy. When Toby approached her, Bisi tried to say no. She showed him her wedding ring. She told him, "I am a married woman, please respect yourself." But Toby knew how to talk. He didn't rush. He became her friend first. He would call her when her husband was away. He would tell her, "Bisi, you are too beautiful to be this lonely." He made her to feel like she was not contented in her marriage, and then he would compliment her thoroughly. Slowly, Bisi's resistance broke down. She began to see her husband not as a provider, but as a jailer. And she began to see Toby as the key to her freedom. But you see, men like Babatunde, they are not stupid. They might be quiet, but they are not blind to things happening around them. Babatunde noticed the changes. He noticed that Bisi started locking her phone. He noticed that she was buying new underwear, lace and silk that she never wore for him. He noticed that when he touched her, she would stiffen up as if his touch was irritating her. Babatunde did not panic. He did not beat her. He was a man of few words. He simply watched. In Africa, it is said that the silence of a lion is not weakness, but calculation. One weekend, Babatunde told Bisi he was traveling to Abuja for a contract. Bisi was happy. She thought, finally, I have the house to myself. She immediately messaged Toby. But Babatunde did not go to Abuja. He took a bus to his village in Ondo State. He went to the house of an old man his father used to know, a man who dealt in things that are not written in the Bible or the Quran, a traditional herbalist. The meeting was short. Babatunde explained that he suspected a thief was eating from his pots, that someone had been touching what belongs to him. The old herbalist did not ask for names. He simply asked, "Do you want to stop them or do you want to disgrace them?" Babatunde thought about the disrespect. He thought about the younger man laughing at him behind his back. He said, "I want the world to see them." The herbalist nodded. He prepared the Magun. It was not a big idol. It was just a small thread, soaked in mixtures that had been fermenting for years. A thread that carried a heavy command: anyone who enters here unlawfully do not live alive. When Babatunde returned to Lagos, the house was quiet. Bisi was in the kitchen. He greeted her normally. "Welcome home, my husband," she said, but her eyes were shifting. She was hiding something. That night, while Bisi was sleeping, Babatunde went to the front door. He took the prepared thread. He whispered the incantations the Babalawo told him to say. He laid the thread across the threshold of the door. It was so thin you would miss it if you were not looking. He knew Bisi would have to cross that door to go and meet her lover. The moment she stepped over it, the charm would activate. It would latch onto her spirit like a tick on a dog. It would wait. It would wait for the moment of intimacy to strike. Friday came, the day of the meeting. Bisi told her husband she was going to the market. Babatunde looked at her. He looked at her beautifully made hair. He looked at her polished nails. Who goes to the market looking like a bride? "Go well, my wife," he said. His voice was flat. As Bisi reached the door, she stopped. She felt a sudden coldness. Her heart kept beating fast. Her leg felt heavy, as if an invincible hand was holding her ankle. This was her Ori, her spirit, warning her, "Go back, Bisi, go back." But she ignored it. She thought it was just guilt. She stepped over the threshold. She crossed the line. The trap was now live. She was walking with death, but she couldn't see him. She met Toby at an hotel in Ikeja. Toby was glowing. He was so happy. He hugged her and spun her around. "My queen," he called her. "Finally, I have you to myself." Toby had chosen a quiet hotel. He thought he was being smart. He didn't want any of his friends to see them. He wanted total privacy. Inside the room, the air conditioner was humming. Toby poured red wine into 2 glasses. He sat on the bed and patted the space beside him. Bisi sat down. She was still nervous. She kept looking at the door. Toby laughed and told her to relax. He took her hand and told her that her husband is currently in his office counting kobo. He told her to forget about him and enjoy life. Bisi looked at Toby. He was so confident, so full of life. She let herself believe him. She drank the wine. She let him kiss her. They turned off the main lights. They locked the door. They thought they were the only 2 people in that room. But they were wrong. There was a third person in the room. The Magun was there, waiting. It started about 20 minutes later. The intimacy had finished. They were lying in the quiet. Suddenly, Toby sat up and said he felt hot. Bisi looked at the AC and said it was on 16 degrees. She did not feel hot at all. "No, I am burning," Toby insisted. He grabbed the bottle of water on the side table and drank the whole thing in one gulp. But the water burned in his throat like a drop of rain on a hot pan. He started scratching his neck and said there was something blocking his throat. He was gasping for air. He couldn't breathe. Bisi screamed his name and asked him what was wrong. Toby tried to talk to her. He wanted to say, "Help me," but his tongue had swollen to twice its size. His eyes rolled back into his head. His body went stiff, like a piece of dry wood. And then the horror began. His back arched backwards, deeper than any human back should bend. His muscles were tearing, and from his open mouth came that sound. It was the sound of a rooster, but it was wet and choked and terrifying. Bissy scrambled into the corner of the room. She was naked, shivering, pressing herself into the wall. She knew, oh, she knew. Her grandmother had told her stories about this. If a man sleeps with a woman carrying the Magun, he would crow like a rooster 3 times. After the 3rd crow, he will die. Toby crowed the 2nd time. He fell to the floor, convulsing. He was looking at Bissy, his eyes begging for mercy. But you cannot beg a charm. It has no ears. The noise was too loud. Guests in the next room called the reception. "Someone is dying in room 302, they shouted. The hotel security kicked the door open. What they saw, they would never forget. A naked man on the floor, twisting like a snake, making animal noises. A woman screaming in the corner. Before they could even touch him, Toby lets out one last breath, a final weak sound, and then he went still. The Lagos big boy was gone, defeated by a piece of thread. The police came. The photos were taken. The story leaked to the blogs. Bissy was disgraced. She could never go back to her husband, and she could never go back to her parents. She became a wanderer, carrying the weight of a man's death on her head. As for Babatunde, he never admitted to anything. When the police asked him, he just said, "I warned my wife to be careful. Lagos is a dangerous place." So, my friends, listen to me carefully. The world is modern. We have airplanes and internet. But human nature does not change. Jealousy does not change. And the old powers, they are still here, sleeping in the shadows. Be careful which door you open, because you never know what is waiting on the other side.